In 2009, Avatar the movie made $212.7 million in its first 10 days and went on to become the highest grossing film of all time. In comparison, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 made $1 billion in its first 10 days. In 2023, the top-selling film was Avatar The Way of Water, making a total of $2.2 billion worldwide. Fortnite made $5.8 billion in 2021. Fortnite makes approximately $2.7 million per day. In total, the global video game market was estimated at $184 billion in 2022. In summary, the video game industry is massive. However, this industry is also relatively young when compared to the movie industry. The video game industry got its start in the late 1970s and early 1980s with the creation of arcade games like Pong and the first home console, the Magnavox Odyssey. My channel is dedicated to video games and will cover all platforms including the arcade, home computers and of course the consoles. I've been a video game player from the 70s and a game collector since the early 80s. I've lived through most of the key historical points of the video games industry. From the humble beginnings of the 1970s, throughout the golden age of the 80s and the crash of 1983, then there was the rise and dominance of Nintendo, which then led on to the war of Nintendo and Sega, and so on, all the way through all the other wonderful console generations. I hope to provide you all with fun and factual videos of all these amazing historical events. My YouTube channel in many ways will be my own personal account and experiences of the video games industry throughout the years. My first episode focuses on the rise of arcade video gaming in the early 70s and 80s and how this started the era known as the video game golden years. So let's get started by first of all watching how video games began in the arcades. Spacewar is a space combat video game developed in 1962 by Steve Russell. It was written for the newly installed DEC PDP-1 microcomputer at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It was then spread to the few dozen installations of these PDP-1 computers, making Spacewar the first known video game to be played at multiple computer installations. The game involves two spaceships attempting to shoot one another with torpedoes while manoeuvring on a two-dimensional plane in the gravity well of a star. This game directly inspired many electronic games, such as Computer Space. Computer Space was created by Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney, the founders of Atari. Nolan is fondly named the godfather of video games.
On your mark. Get set.
Dragon's Lair, the fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the castle of a dark wizard who has enchanted it with treacherous monsters and obstacles. In the mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey continues against the awesome forces that oppose your efforts to reach the Dragon's Lair. Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits.
Well, here it is, the most eagerly awaited arcade game of the year, the brand new Star Wars.
Red 5, I'm going in. Use the ball.
So those were the main arcade games of the arcade golden years. I remember playing them all as a kid. My favourite arcade experience was entering the Atari Star Wars cabinet and blowing up the Death Star. For that moment, I felt that I was Luke Skywalker, and this is what arcades done. They took you to a magical place. I loved everything about the arcades. I loved the arcade sounds, the dark playing areas, and the flashing neon lights. It was totally amazing, and nothing could compare to it. A video gaming revolution had taken over the entire world. Video games was becoming an addiction.
Come on in. It's almost another world here in the video arcades of America. 1 billion games are played every month, a quarter each for Escape, which can last a long time if you're skilled. Pitch yourself against the computer. Millions, mostly teenagers, have. So many, in fact, that psychologists are beginning to worry that some youths are becoming spaced out on the space games.
You can't get hooked on it.
Are you?
Yeah. It keeps on making you play the game. Once you start to play it for a while, you keep on playing it.
Any normal person would want to beat the machine.
And you come back?
Oh, sure.
Again?
Oh, sure.
Again?
Yeah.
Many cities have reacted by making the arcades off-limits to all under 17 from 8 to 3. This is the after-school rush in Oakland. Long hours at the screens, psychologists say, can lead to extreme introversion, youngsters communicating in a video fantasy land and not with their peers or parents.
It's not addictive in the sense of a drug dependency where you're going to have withdrawal symptoms, but it is you can become physically dependent upon it because you get an arousal and then a relaxation response. It's the same as a roller coaster or gambling or playing cards intensely.
Many teenagers are frank in admitting their dependency.
Well, it's the moving lights partly. Some of these games are really hard to do. It just takes a lot of skill, hand-eye coordination, and it doesn't cost as much as some other things, and it's legal.
Yeah, it's addictive. It is. Because you sit there and you just want to play it more and more.
We don't really prefer to use the word addictive. We think it's associated with negative connotations. We prefer to use the term compelling and highly popular, which obviously they are.
And the manufacturers add they teach a bit about computers, too. This is the current craze game, Pac-Man.
I like the little man. He's really neat. He eats up all the other things, you know.
How about that Pac-Man song that I hear around here all the time?
Yeah, you sing it a lot. You hum it.
Indeed, and play it on the jukebox at full volume. Psychologists remind us every younger generation has to have something to scare adults. Right now, all of this is certainly it. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, San Francisco.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we discover that the early 80s was not only booming in the arcades, but also saw the invasion of video games into our homes for the first time.
The fun is back, oh yes siree. It's the 2600 from Atari. It's the video system with classics galore, from Space Invaders to cars that roar. A real hip joystick controls the screen. Solaris is hot and Midnight Magic's mean. And one more thing, it's got a special low price, under $50. $50? Now isn't that nice? The fun is back, oh yes siree. It's the 2600 from Atari.